Everyone, and welcome to the Raymore City Council work session for Monday, September the 15th, 2025. We have on our work agenda this evening a couple of items. The first item being the I-49 widening and 58 highway interchange project. We have a visitor with us from MoDOT this evening, but right now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Murdoch, who's filling in for Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. As you might be aware, this is killing Mr. Fearborn to not be here this evening. So, but we do have these two agenda items. And so tonight is going to be a presentation on some of the options and proposals for the I-49 widening that you guys all know about. So we are very happy that MoDOT is here to share with us. I do want to just remind the council that on October 2nd, there is the public meeting in regards to this project. So we would ask the council tonight to make sure that we wait to share all of this information until the public has had a chance to see it as well on October 2nd. So that is important. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Salisbury, who can introduce our guest, and we can get started.
Thank you very much. So this is Jill Brush. She's with MoDOT. She's our area engineer for Jackson and Cass County, and I will turn it over to her.
Hi, Jill. Just kind of wanted to walk through a little bit about the project coming up. We've been collaborating with the city. Grandview, Belton, and Raymore have been sitting on our core team meetings, and something we've really been trying to start incorporating in to get our cities more involved. We have not always been that great at that in the past, but Trent has been on our core team meetings probably since even in our consultant selection. So really integrating some of, the city needs and stuff a little better into our projects. With that, I'll go through some of the things. The first stuff I'm going to go through is on the handout. This is just general project information. This is all on our website, so this can all be shared. It's easily searchable and findable. So the public meeting is October 2nd, 4:30 to 6:30. Please encourage everybody to come out. You'll get to see, we'll have lots of displays of the options that we're carrying forward, and we'll take any comments and answer each and every one of them that come in. So if you have any constituents, whatever, reaching out, please tell them to come and see what we have. The project is set to be let in November of 27. We are trying to accelerate that. It is possible it will be June of 27. We don't really want to throw that out there yet because right away impacts can always slow that down. So we're still publicly saying November 27, but we're really shooting for June. And that's just to get started before the winter season and getting some of the precursor stuff done so that we could actually finish it in 28 versus having to extend into 29. Construction as of right now, spring of 28, but again, we'd like to really start next fall, get a lot of the widening of bridges and some things that have to be done ahead of the project. So with that, I'll just go into what we're doing with the project. We're adding an additional lane, both directions from 49, on I-49 from 155th Street to Mo 58 interchange. In that section, we're gonna replace the existing pavement and the widening of the existing bridges at 163rd Street. We're going to combine another project that we had in our STIP, and we're going to replace the pavement between Mo 150 and 155th Street. This is that section that I think you all know of, horrible potholes that pop out as soon as we fill them. So that section has some really hard to work with subsurface areas that we just can't fix how we're doing it now. So we decided to get that project and combine it so that we don't, build these new lanes and then have subpar pavement just to the north of it. So we are doing that with it.
Jill, could I ask a question?
Yep.
So you talk about replacement of existing pavement. Are you looking at a different construct than what exists, or is that just mill and overlay, or subsurface fixing or whatever?
In some sections, so in that section from 150 to the south, it is going to be a complete subsurface. We'll mill down, fix the subsurface. There's, I don't know the exact cause, but there's some moisture that stays underneath, and so that concrete kind of floats there, and that's what's kind of causing those potholes to come to the surface. So that section is going to be a complete rebuild. As they pull out, they'll mill it down, fix the subsurface, and then put it back. So hopefully we'll have material there that lasts longer than what we've been seeing.
Okay, thank you.
The project will add continuous auxiliary lanes, both directions, from 150 to 155th Street. So if you don't know what an auxiliary lane is, this is going to be huge for the area. It's going to be a continuous lane from those off ramps to the next on ramp, kind of like you see on 470 and 291. A lot of that backup that you see is that left lane merging over. So now you'll have that continuous lane for people to, merge in and out versus having to stop and slow down. And with that, getting away from that left merge over, I think that causes a problem. So our new third lane isn't going to end with a left merge like that anymore. The project will end with the 2 right lanes going to 58 and 2 of them so there'll be 4 lanes because you'll have your continuous aux lane, your 3 lanes. So the aux lane and the that far right lane will all end exiting at 58, and your 2 lanes will go continuous through. So you won't ever have that left merge, which I drive it daily. I work in Lee Summit and live down here, and to me, it's that left merge that just adds to the chaos. Yes, we need more capacity, but that left merge is really what does it. So
That's what I was going to ask about, because I know as you come off of 291 in Lee Summit and you're heading north, the Strother Road exit allows you, once you enter, just to stay in
Stay in
that
it.
lane till you
Yep.
get off. Will that be the same way from like 150 to 155th?
Yes,
Where
that's
they
what
come
the-
up and they can just stay in that lane
Yep.
and get off at 155th? Okay.
yeah, and that's what a continuous aux lane is. So
Okay.
we're adding that from 100, from 150 to 155th, but then it also is going to be further south too. So you'll have that also from 163rd to 58, that continuous aux
okay.
lane. So you'll have really like 4 lanes going through there, but that one's just your continual, and it's striped with closer
Sure.
dashes to signify that the lane doesn't go through.
Yep.
So I think those improvements alone are going to help the area tremendously.
That's exciting. That's good.
So bridge replacements, we have a couple bridges in here that are just at the end of their serviceable life. While that, we say they're at the end of their serviceable life, that doesn't mean it's going to fall down tomorrow, but we are, in the next 10 years, it's scheduled for replacement. So if we got a project, this is the time to do it. So that is Mo 58, and then the bridge over Little Blue River. Little Blue River was a project we had already in the works also. So again, we're going to combine them. It just made sense to do the design all together. It saves costs overall, having the same consultant doing the survey and the design. Interchange, at 58, we will be doing more than just bridge replacement. It's going to be more of a kind of an interchange overhaul, which is what I think Trent has here. How do you get it?
Yeah, it's a.
The
Kinda
projector's
tiny on
not
our
working
screen.
right
Oh,
now.
it's not?
so
Oh,
it'll
you
be-
have it
it's-
on-
It's on all
We
the.
do have
Oh,
it,
you
yes,
have it
it
on,
is.
okay.
Yeah, we
Perfect,
have
you
that.
guys have it in front of you. So this is really small. The next ones are going to be a little more, I just put these 4 on here to show that we evaluated. We had GBA as our design consultant. We hired them. A lot of these bigger projects, it's just too much for us to do in-house. And when we hire a consultant, we also get a lot more creativity in our designs and aren't just stuck with what MoDOT's done for 20 years. So they really come up with some neat different things. But then I'll go to the next one. And we evaluated 9 different criteria. There was only kind of like 4 that took a little more serious look at, and we're going to carry 2 through to the public meeting. This one is just the improved Diamond. So Diamond is similar to what is out there now. It would add lanes, 8 lanes across the middle, so you'd have continuous left turn lanes instead of it sharing a left turn lane like it does in the middle of the bridge now. So we have pros and cons on each one. This one, it's traditional, people know how to handle it, minor right-of-way impacts and fewer impacts on 49 than some of the other options. So cons, bridge width, we really need more width than we could do with this design. Storage length, you're stuck with the length of the bridge to store those left turners, and some taper conditions. And you also still keep 4 signals. So a lot of that congestion through there is the amount of signals. When you have closely spaced signals, they tend to perform poorer, however you want to say it. then if you can get rid of one of those and get rid of some of your left turn movements. So do the next one. This one's the East Combo. This one is our preferred method, or preferred alternative. Like I said, we're going to carry through two, so that Improved Diamond, that first one, we're going to carry it through, and then this one is the other one. It looks a little, I think people see roundabout sometimes and freak out just a little bit, but this one gets rid of that fourth signal. We will have some really good boards up at the public meeting that will show the traffic flow so that you can really see what's going through here. So for the pros for this one, 3 signals, you get rid of that fourth one. You're eastbound to northbound, which is super high in the morning and really disrupts the operation of 58. Will not be at a left turn light anymore. So you will travel east across the bridge and you'll take a right turn at the signal at the outer road on the east side, and you'll go through the roundabout and then up to the north. So you never, that traffic, when you sit at that left turn to turn left, you're really, anytime you have a left turn and you have to take away from movement another direction, you're adding to the congestion. So that flow will just be continuous going up to get on the interstate and hit that third lane quicker, and it'll actually start the third lane as it goes up. So getting rid of that movement in a signal should really improve traffic flow in the mornings for sure, but really all the time. Cons, it's got an access chain, point change, which just means FHWA requirements take a more in-depth to get that to go through. It's a non-traditional interchange type. It's going to combine the ramp and the outer road. We do have right-of-way impacts over on that area because there's several drives, there's hotel, several things around there. City of Belton has okayed this, saying that they think that they can manage any impacts that are going to be to those drives, but that is kind of a con, making this one a little bit harder. And some out of direction travel, so you're going to have people going to the south to go to the north, and anything different's a little harder for the public to learn and understand. However, most of the traffic through here is traffic that frequents, so you're going to do it once and you're going to remember it, and then the traffic will move a lot quicker through there. Yep. This one, we called it the West Parslow. I'm not really sure why the nomenclature, but it's going to combine, I guess, no, it doesn't have the roundabout. It just has this little loop up here that you kind of see, I guess, in the northwest corner in between the signals. So you still have 4 signals, but it's the southbound ramp signal becomes 2-phase, which means you don't have you take the left turns out of it. So basically you're going to have, if you want to go southbound, westbound to southbound, you're going to come across, you'll take that little loop and go down to the south. So it takes the left turns out of that signal. Didn't have cons, you still had the point change and some out of direction travel, and it did not really improve flow to what we really wanted to see for the construction. So next one. There. I keep looking up there thinking it's going to be up there. Sorry. This is East Combo, West Parslow combined, and it gets rid of that 4 signal. You're adding in, basically just taking that roundabout one and combining it with the West Parslow. Several different pros, the cons really, I think it's still out of direction travel. I'm not sure, other than if this one didn't improve flow enough more for the additional cost to put them together and have multi-unidirectional out of direction flow, that they decided to keep it simpler since it didn't improve the overall flow of the area enough to combine both of them. Next one. This one just kind of shows some of the movements. We'll have better boards than this, but so if you're coming from the south and you're getting off, you're going to get off and go through that roundabout, and then you can get up and go any direction you want. and, you know, you can get on, you'd go around the roundabout and go up to the north, so you'd avoid any signal to get back on. And then if you're wanting to go from westbound to northbound, you could still take your right turn and go straight. You wouldn't have to go through the roundabout to go to the north to get on, so you'll still have that free flow right movement. And those are just really what, you know, we walked through and looked through and evaluated on cost versus constructability and carrying through those first two. I don't know, does anybody have any other questions, or happy to answer anything? Mm-hmm.
So, pretty good presentation, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I want to commend you on the forward thinking on the auxiliary lanes.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke a little bit about southbound traffic, obviously, which is afternoon and stacks up all the way back past 150. Northbound traffic in the outbound in the morning is just as bad, because you have people getting over into the far right lane, which they've been taught all their lives is the slow lane. It's also the exit lane for 150, and so you really have congestion through there
Yes.
in the morning, and you're adding into it from 155th. So obviously you're aware of these, but that was really good foresight on this. Is there any thought from MoDOT's perspective? I'm assuming you do capital planning a few years in advance. I realize it changes, in adding additional lanes from 58 to North Cass Parkway, because if you don't, you all are going to be coming back doing the same presentation in a few years, because the traffic flow has increased dramatically, and boat traffic to the lake on the weekends, in the mornings coming up from the south because they work up here. This will help, certainly, but we've seen tremendous growth here in the city over a number of years, as have some of the other surrounding communities. And this is not going to, this will fix the problem for a while, but if you don't widen down to there, I think you're going to turn around and be doing the same thing in
Right.
5 after the completion of this project.
Right, and so we are gonna bring with this project also counts and models. Our designers and our modelers feel very confident that in order to get the capacity down there, you'd have to add a fourth lane. Because the majority of the traffic, the counts that are getting off at 58, there just isn't room for the through lanes, and it would take addition of another lane in order to get the volumes to have that slowdown past 58. I've not been part of that design. They feel confident in it, and they know that this, we talked about this in the meeting this morning, that we feel like that's gonna be the big complaint at the public meeting. And so they will be there, that team specialized to answer those questions. I can't, other than they are very confident in the fact that their numbers show that you'd have to add 4 lanes both directions in order to have that backup. I drive it every day, I do see it, heavy volume, but without a merge like that, they feel confident that it should be fine. But please bring any of those comments and
Fair
questions.
enough. I politely disagree, but
Right,
fair
right.
enough. It's good news.
And I live down here, I'm
it's
without
not-
giving my hand away, I don't know that I totally disagree, but they will be there prepared to.
Probably the biggest reason I talk about North Cass Parkway, I mean, we anticipate commercial growth down in that area, which will certainly increase. But you can drive across now on Saturdays and Sundays. That returning lake traffic is many times backlogged. This is
Right.
not people going to work, but it's backlogged down to
Right.
that point or past. And agreed, this will assist, it'll make it better. But I think the full project probably, if, my
Right.
opinion, you're
Well, and,
constrained by money, I
Right.
understand, but it's
And-
needed and it's coming and it's gonna
Right.
be worse, is my point.
yeah, and I mean, and that all does go back kind of through the MARC system, and, 470 backs up every day, 291 backs up every day. There's several, 290, or 2935 split up in the Northland. There are lots of areas experience this growth, and it does have to kind of, there is a finite amount of money. So I would still encourage, I know the city has somebody sitting on the MARC board being vocal, because those types of expansion projects do get handed out through MARC. And right now, Lee Summit's being very vocal on 470 needing extra lanes too. So you know, definitely please, which I don't know who sits in on the board, whether you do or, so that is really where to really push it, but do please come ask those questions of our designers and they'll be able to give you a better answer.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else have any questions?
I know back in 19 or 20 when we talked about this one back and they had all the sketches, I know MoDOT was trying to do the interchange of bridge with as least amount of lights as they could possibly get. More diamond cuts lighted in the middle when we talked, and we had a nice layout, but that was years back, but and we've been stalled. But I know their purpose is less amount of stoplights on that bridge, the better we would feel. So that's what I was wondering about making sure, yeah. We'll talk on April 2nd, but I think keeping the stoplights down and doing diamond cuts where they can might be, that was their plan originally.
Yes, and that is still like all the plans that we've carried forward, or at least getting rid of one of the signals. We did have, we looked at a single point interchange, which is what's up at 150 where everybody crosses in the middle. And then we also did look at, which I didn't show them because we didn't carry them through, was the, like a diverging diamond. But due to the heavy traffic movements each direction, both of those failed relatively quickly, just because you need kind of more heavy one direction and lighter another direction, and they just, with the volumes, neither one of those performed well. One other thing I didn't put on here that we will discuss at the public meeting is everybody on the core team meeting has looked at that full closure of 58 is probably our best option as we go forward. I know that doesn't sound fun, and I hate even saying it, but the length of the disruption, you know, you're looking at like a 2-year closure versus maybe 8 months if we do a full closure. It does make the project go a lot quicker, and I mean, it is cheaper to do it that way, but that is not the primary reason why we're looking at closure. It's just the length because, as you all know, everybody wants progress, but they also don't like construction. So if we can shorten that by half, then I think that's what pretty much everyone on the core team agreed.
Clarify, you said if you do a full closure, roughly 8 months, you thought, is that right?
I think
Versus
that's,
2 months if you do a partial, was that?
no, so 2 years.
I'm sorry, 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, 2 years when you're phasing it versus 8, yeah, like 8 months.
For a total.
And that's rough, but yeah, usually about 8 months is what we're doing. We've been doing that on a lot of our major bridges. I think the first couple were a little hard to swallow and do, and then we've just kind of been doing more and more that way because the complaints you get when you draw that out for that long, nobody's happy with that either.
So yeah, the 8 months would be better, and we could utilize 163rd. We utilize Cass Parkway, which we'd have to do.
Right.
But doing it in 8 months instead of 2 years would probably be the better way to go. People would rather be upset for 8 months than fighting it for 2 years.
Right. And they will have proposed detour routes at the public meeting also to kind of show the public what it's going to look like. I think primarily we were looking at like our sign detour, and we know people find, you know, other ways, but just utilizing the interchange on either end to do U-turns to come around to get back the other direction.
I know one thing that stuck with me when we were talking about the full closure is someone made the comment that having one lane in each direction is like having no lanes at all during rush hour, and that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, we're getting ready to close I-70 after World Cup for, 10 months through the inner portion of the city. So, and then same thing, it's like one lane each direction. That one was going to be 3 years versus like 10 months closure. And it just makes sense because it's.
Almost every day closes for almost 3 hours.
Right. Yeah.
I would ask, has there been any serious discussion about the Lucy Webb flyover that we had previously discussed? Not as much as this project, but
I have
we've
not.
talked
I
about it a little bit.
thought Belton was working on a cost share for it, but I don't know. Do you have something on it? You look, oh.
No.
I thought maybe you.
Mr. Salisbury, or I could talk to that, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, kind of when this project all came up, we kind of backed off on that to, make sure that this goes through, and then that'll be something that we look after this.
Okay.
There's a lot of agreements that are gonna have to come to play for the flyover between multiple entities, and when this is such a major project that the focus there needs to go on that. And I was gonna add, sir, that to the traffic issue that we were talking about, staff is already, while it's a long way away, we've already started talking about the roads that could be impacted as people start to use these detours coming into Raymore, and the way that we are going to start to work towards making those a little bit even more accessible for people, so that we can get people moving through the community.
Anybody else have anything on this? So we'll see you all on October the 2nd. All right.
Thank you all
Joe.
for
We
having
appreciate
me.
you coming out
I will
tonight.
probably
Thank you so
sneak out
much.
then. I appreciate y'all having me.
All right.
Thank-
I get to stay for the next one.
Okay. Mr. Murdoch, and second on our agenda tonight is the budget and talking about the CIP program, so.
Yeah, and so
Turn it over
to
to-
finish, just so we have that, so anybody who watches from the public, that public meeting, just to the council's point, Mill Creek Upper Elementary School in Belton is where that'll be located, 4:30 to 6:30 on October the 2nd. So anybody who is watching that, that's where that's going to be.
Mr. Delgado.
Which that's the same time as the Belton High School Homecoming Parade, just FYI. So don't plan to get there through the middle of town. You'll want to go
Go
around.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. That
Appreciate that.
did not know that, so that is helpful. To the mayor's point, we do have the budget on the agenda this evening, and there are a couple of very specific items that I want to bring to the council this evening. One is more of an informational issue regarding to our CIP project, and actually honing in on a couple of the projects that were presented there on August the 18th to you all. And while it may get a little bit less than exciting, I do want to share some numbers with you specific to a project that we had within the CIP that was called lift station upgrades. That's located within the Enterprise Capital Maintenance Fund, which is Fund 54, and we had it listed for $67,000. Staff has had, I think, and Mr. Salisbury could attest to this, a lot of conversations regarding lift station upgrades that are needed across the city and across our network. And so it's not just limited to, for example, Owen Good, which is what we hear a lot about. And so after we had meetings among staff and talked with Ms. Williams in finance, we did break that project down into the individual components that will be updated within the budget book for you all. And so I did want to share with you that that project now has turned into 4 at each one of our lift stations. So at the Owen Good Pump Station, for example, we now will do a bubbler replacement that is $8,130.54. That will stay coming out of the Enterprise Capital Maintenance Fund. At the Hunter's Glen Lift Station, we now will replace a pump. That's pump number 1 is going to get a replacement. That's $18,079.60. That'll also come out of the Enterprise Capital Maintenance Fund. It will also get a bubbler replacement at $5,344.82. And like I said, you will get this sheet, but I just want to share it with you all tonight. And then there will be a transducer that will also be put in there at $1,100. So Hunter's Glen is all coming out of the Enterprise Capital Maintenance Fund as well. At Whitetail, it also needs a pump replacement. That one is $24,367.20. That's where it's a little unique because that will come out of the Sewer Connection Fund, which is Fund 53. So Whitetail is coming fully out of the Sewer Connection Fund. It will also have a bubbler that is going to get replaced at the same amount as the Hunter's Glen Station, $5,344.82. And then at Morning View, we are going to replace pumps 1 and 2 for $31,500. The bubbler again for $5,344.80, and a transducer at $1,100, all coming out of the Enterprise Capital Maintenance Fund. The bigger picture for the council here this evening is going to be the net impact that we had in the initial budget presentation for you all versus now what you will see as we move forward in the budget. And so in the sewer connection fee fund, that's going to actually be an additional $29,712.02, which will lower that fund balance within that, in the fiscal year 26 final fund balance to $607,298.98 from $637,011. In the Enterprise Capital Maintenance Fund, we now will see an increase of $3,599.76 in our project expenses, and so that will lower our fund balance from $816,840 to $813,240 within those two funds. This is a comprehensive look that we have done, and if you have questions for Mr. Salisbury, obviously, about these lift stations, by all means, but this has been a really detailed process that we've gone through over the last few months, and I cannot tell you how much we appreciate Public Works, Finance, and everybody getting together, because these are much needed items as a part of the CIP project. There was one, the air conditioner at Owen Good. We have expedited that process. It will actually be going a couple weeks. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think next week.
It actually completely failed. It has equipment that absolutely must be cooled, and Martin Mechanical was able to find the appropriate replacement that wasn't going to take overly long to get, and it would have cost us more to put temporary cooling units in than to just go ahead and make the replacement right now. And so we're doing that as a part of a project here through the month of September to make sure that that station continues to function properly. So that's the change that you're going to see going forward, and that will replace in your budget book for the CIP. Does anybody have any questions on that item? I'm sorry, I took care of it.
You know, what's the life expectancy on those pumps?
15 to 20 years is usually what we hope to get out of them, and they were all installed in about 2005 to 2007. So,
And a significant reevaluation of what Mr. Murdoch just outlined was brought about by that failure as well, right? I mean, we had to rethink how we were moving forward with our lift stations because of this one that was an emergent need that Mr. Fearborn told us about.
yeah, that's correct. So initially we put the project together in, I believe, June, and everything was working as it should. And of course, right after we put it all together, stuff started to go wrong. And so we, at that point, kind of stopped and reevaluated with everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else on that one?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. The other specific thing that we, Mr. Fearborn would like to address tonight / through me tonight is the available fund balance that we have from that presentation from the 18th. In your budget books, we have an available fund balance after our restricted fund, the 17.5% is pulled back, of $2,177,703. In this particular case, one of the things that we just want to call attention to is in this particular proposed budget, we have just under $4 million that is currently dedicated to our curb replacement and street pres programs through a host of different projects, whether it just be our actual curb replacement, street preservation. I won't necessarily go through the entire list, but that's your sidewalks and everything else. Just under $4 million. It would be the recommendation of Mr. Fearborn that out of that 2.177, we take 1.4 million and we put it into our streets, specifically as a part of the 58 highway. And one of the things that we will share with the council is a more detailed plan on phasing, taking care of 58 highway on September 29th when we meet with you. But that would be our recommendation. We know that the public would like to see that done. I've certainly seen that even in the last few weeks. But we also know, and we shared with the council, I know a couple of months ago, that when 58 goes, it will go very, very quickly. And we need to stay ahead of that with it being the main thoroughfare through the city. And so the recommendation from Mr. Fearborn would be to take that 1.4 million and put it into the street preservation specific to 58 highway, reconstruction and maintenance across the entire entity that we actually take care of. What that would do is it would mean that for this upcoming fiscal year, we would be putting a total of $5,298,100 towards streets and curbs through all of the different programs now, including 58 Highway, if the council would like to do that. I think the other thing that is a part of this that would leave us, that would leave us with an available fund balance now of $777,703 is where we would be left with money that, if the council has certain items that they would like, we would just, as a part of this discussion, Mayor, I know that you like to lead here, is we would highly encourage the council to make sure that they are one-time capital expenditure items and that they are not recurring expenses through that $777,000. And those of you who obviously have worked with Mr. Fearborn for quite some time, as we start to spend that money, the lower it gets, the higher his heart rate goes. So, the big ticket item though is to take that 1.4 million and apply it to 58 Highway. I know that he would love to be here to share that, and so that's why we're waiting until September the 29th so that he can share that phasing plan with you more in detail. But that leaves that $777,000, and we are certainly open to the discussion of council of if there are other expenditures that you would like to see with that available fund balance.
Tom?
Does Mr. Fearborn have a minimum availability? I know he does have, that he doesn't want to go below every year.
So last year we were at just over 500,000 that was left in the available fund balance, and I would say that is a nice number to not go below from a stress and conservative budgeting standpoint. Just quite honestly, I mean that we don't want to go much lower than that.
Is that a medical recommendation?
That's an assistant city manager recommendation.
So Ryan, do you know, as Mr. Fearborn or the department heads produced anything that they could potentially provide in addition to what was included in the budget, that there are items that we might be looking at potentially down the road for those specific purchases one time?
We did have discussion among staff in regards to that, especially on our expansion item requests and things like that. But at this time, actually, that list is zero. At this point, we have gone through and had those discussions, and I think that we are comfortable as staff as where we're headed going into the next budget year.
Pretty well suited for what was initially
Yes,
outlined.
yes, and I mean, there's always things, right? But we've had good discussion among staff, and I think that we are in a comfortable spot going into this next year.
Okay, perfect. So with that, we have about $277,000 and that under the available fund balance. I didn't know if anyone here had specific needs within their ward or had seen or heard of items that might be worth considering. Mr. Holman.
Not specific to the ward, but two items I'd like for us to allocate funds for with this current budget. And if you want to look on page 151, this is under the Communications Department. It says significant budgetary issues. Quality entertainment that will attract an audience comes at an expense, and those expenses must be supplemented either by grants, sponsorships, or in other ways. This coming fiscal year will include both the World Cup and it will include the 250th celebration of our country. I would like to allocate $40,000 to this fund for higher quality entertainment. It's rough research, but I have talked to staff a little bit. This would be to move our current quality of talent in the 6 to 8 concerts that we do a year at Hawk Ridge Park from what could be described as entry-level or local-level talent to more regional talent. I think, and I would ask for it for one time so that we may show our businesses and sponsors what we're capable of, especially with the additional draws and celebrations that are going on this year. I would also state that that number is subject to a little bit of change. I'm going to ask staff to do a little bit more research, probably Melissa, I would guess. That would include money for acquiring the talent as well as needed advertising and promotional items that would go with this. Okay. And then the second item, sir, is $3,500 to add to our holiday lighting program, the Rack. We have never done that. It's a beautiful building. We just added on to it. It would spread out our aesthetic look of city buildings beyond Municipal Circle. I think that building should get that enhancement. Those are the two items that I have.
Got that, Lise? The last one was, what?
3,500 to extend our holiday lighting program to the Rack, to include the Rack. Did you get the first one?
Yeah.
So with regard to Mr.
she's putting it in.
Holman's first request, I know that we're meeting regularly about the World Cup and the events that we're planning forward. Does that fit in line with what staff is working on with regard to beefing up
It would.
our opportunities?
It would, and actually, Mr. Fairborn and I actually talked about this specifically this morning, even before Mr. Holman had brought up this, and so yes, that actually would kind of coincide with what we had been talking about, especially in regards to using our amphitheater for this exact purpose.
All right, excellent. Mr. Circo?
But we'll have another meeting, so if there's something comes up between now and then, we still have an open process.
Sure.
Okay, great, thank you.
You'll have two more chances.
Two more work
Yep.
sessions. Yep. Yes, Mr. Burke?
Thank you. I have an idea that I don't have any research behind yet or any idea of what it might cost, but the north parking lot on the east side of Hawk Ridge, where the sidewalk is on the very far north end of that parking lot, it's eventually going to be a walkway through that grass.
Yeah.
And
I noticed
I
that the
think
other
it would
night.
be a lot, I think it would benefit, especially, there's a lot of mobility impaired people that use that direction from that side of the parking lot, just as, I mean, it does,
Just a shortcut.
it's a short, yeah, anyway.
It needs a
It's,
shortcut.
it's something to look at. I'm just curious what it might be.
Can you give us a ballpark figure on Joe's
I'm
idea?
just, where exactly is it?
You know, the north big parking lot, not the south little one on Sunset, but the north big
The
parking lot?
one we just built?
Yes,
Yeah.
the farthest one's
You-
bigger.
You have the walkway in the middle of the parking lot that goes away from the amphitheater, and then it
Gotcha.
loops around and comes back.
Gotcha, okay.
Talking about a shortcut over to the amphitheater.
Second sidewalk or trail.
Yeah.
More direct route to the amphitheater, right?
How many feet do we think that is? I mean, I don't want to give you the wrong number.
Then there's a placeholder and we could.
I can definitely
Trent,
have a
it's
number.
probably- Trent, would be probably anywhere between 30 and 40 yards.
Yeah, I was gonna say 100 feet, yeah,
So-
that's probably right.
10, 15,000 would be my guess, maybe. Don't hold me to that, please.
Okay,
I can mark it as a placeholder. We need research
Yeah.
on some of this stuff
Yeah.
anyhow.
there you go. Yeah. No, that's a good suggestion. Sonia?
Thank you, sir. I just have a couple of things, and similar to Mr. Burke, not anything that I really have much information on, really just feedback from the community or things that I've noticed. On the south side of town, coming across both Lucy Webb and North Cass, the weeds by the side of the road and growing up between the road and the curb look really, really bad. And so I don't know if we need a better program for handling that, or if there's any kind of solution. And then additionally, same problem, I'm not sure where that trail along Lucy Webb is as far as the program for parks to work on the trails, if it's a long way out or a little ways out. But if the neighbors weren't mowing that trail, it would be like a pasture.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of grass growing up in there, and so I don't know if we need a little bit of money to move that trail up in the Parks Trail Repair Program, or if it's really a matter of controlling the weeds. Not sure where that is. That I would refer to staff's expertise on what would be the recommendation, but it's a problem that looks really bad, and I hear people complaining about it often.
So I'm going to work backwards here. The first thing is I would want to actually look to see where it's placed on the trail schedule before giving you an answer tonight, so that I don't give you an incorrect response on that. I know it's not right at the top, so that's the first thing. The second thing would be, I know that Mr. Salisbury and I believe Mr. Fairborn met about mowing sometime relatively recently, so that we could try to hone in on that exact mowing schedule, essentially, to make sure that we're hitting all of the areas that we need to. Mr. Salisbury, I don't know, and you don't, if we don't have that particular, we may not have that finalized yet in terms, I don't think we do, because I think the meeting was so that we could, as we go into next year, essentially get into the springtime and stuff like that, that we have that schedule in place so that we're not missing spots as a part of it. And so.
At one point, years ago, Mr. Crass was trying some kind of program or system to spray that space between where the curb meets the road to prevent the weeds from growing up in there. Same with the little space between the curb and maybe if the trail is right there on the curb. I don't think mowing our streets is really the solution. I think that it's a different problem than
There are definitely some options people use to address that. There's crack sealing with the black tar you see around. You can seal between the curb, knock it down and then seal between the curb and the asphalt. That'll work. Or they make street sweepers that actually have weed killer that they can spray while they're street sweeping. Obviously, that's comes at a cost, but there are different options that are out there.
We can certainly look, though, at a couple of those items so that we can, on the 29th, be able to come back to you with a little bit more specifics for you.
Okay. Tom?
One other thing, right there on Lucy Webb, Silver Lake South, over in Evanbrook, of course, on the south side, it's a large section of Blacktop Road. It's that street there is blacktop, but if you go by it now, the weeds have grown, the grass has grown in it. It's so ugly because there's grass growing all through it. I don't know if they need to seal that or how they would do that, if they got plans to change that in the future, that small section, but I don't know. But it's pretty overgrown, undergrown, and it's cracking all the way through the blacktop, the grass.
And I think my initial response to that would be I would be hesitant on that one just because that's a perpetual maintenance issue in terms of the funds that we would be spending here. And so we would want to make sure that we would be programming that in as a future budgetary item and making sure that we're just doing a better assessment of those particular issues. But I would be very hesitant to go into those kinds of maintenance issues with any kind of available fund balance here on that one.
Follow on that one. Do you mean near where the large farm field is? That's currently that entire, there's two different, that's been broken into two parcels, and it is for sale right now. So it may change. So that might be a reason to hold off anyway. I don't know anything about the owners or anything like that. I just saw it was for sale.
Gotcha.
So it
I
could.
just know that's our sidewalk. It's been there for a long time, but it's kind of, I didn't know.
Okay. Anybody have anything? Just be thinking over the next couple of weeks, and we'll redress it at that time. I get a little more information from Mr. Fearborn. Sure. Okay. Anything else this evening?
Nothing else, sir.
All right. I don't have anything under other. Anybody else have anything they wanted to bring up this evening? Mr. Circle?
I think we had a great evening. I think we had a great meeting. The night went well. We all got to discuss and talk like we normally do and get some ideas, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.